All right. Well, we're home.
Back at home. With your coffee.
Back to the traditional butter coffee, Colombian Coffee Connection, sponsor of the podcast. Full disclosure, I'm part owner of the company, or we are.
And this is the Marital Arts Podcast.
Oh, there you go.
Ching ching. Ooh, we got a good one.
Got a big ching. Ooh, that's good. Back in business.
So, what is it like for you coming home from a trip? I have a feeling it's quite different from how it is for me.
Oh, I think if there's things that I really want to do, like I was kind of done, like, you know, for the town we were in and the things we were doing, we kind of had developed a little bit of a routine and, you know, hitting the coffee shop in the morning, doing different things, you know, favorite restaurant kind of thing, you know. I get done with stuff pretty quick, you know, like we're out side by side and up in the mountains, and it was awesome. It was really awesome. However, after 2.5, 3 days of doing that, I was pretty much done with it. You know, I was like...
I was pretty surprised, actually.
Well, you know, I've been involved with motorsports my entire life. I got my first motorcycle when I was 12 years old. And I had my first snowmobile when I was 5 or 6. And I'd have to ask my parents. And so... maybe 7 years old. And so I've been involved with motorsports my entire life. It's really nice renting them because then I don't have to do any of the maintenance. Mm-hmm. I just had to fill it up with gas and drive it and have fun. But it was not, the side-by-side is not a motorcycle, and 2 wheels is really my thing. You know, it's... So anyway, coming back, I was ready to come back. I know that part of it is because of work, you know, because I want to be here for the work that's being done, because I'm the second and third shift
Yeah.
with our automated machines. I want to make sure that everything is running all night long and that type of thing, because that's a real boon to our bottom line and the things we're doing for our customers, getting things done on time and even before due dates, and then filling things back up again. I think I'm never like, I wish I could stay, like even snowmobiling out west when we would go on vacations out to Wyoming. Most of the time we went to Togety, Wyoming, which is a really great place to go snowmobiling. 55 to 80 feet of snow a year. And towards like the second to last, the last day, I'm pretty much done, because I know I'm not going to be doing this for any length of time, and I'm on vacation. When I'm doing motorsports like that, I want to start training. I want to start getting stronger. I want to go faster. I want to challenge the limits of the equipment that I'm on and myself. And so that's why I'm done pretty quick. You know, mountain biking is something that we do as a hobby, as a standard hobby. And I enjoy mountain biking because I can regulate. I know I'm going to do that this week, next week, the following week, and I'm not racing. I know I'm not racing because, you know, I'm 52 years old in July. And I'm like, I don't have that desire to race mountain bikes, because, you know, it's kind of in my opinion, no offense to anybody, it's a little bit foolish to be trying to race when you're, you know, X number of years old. Everybody has their own limit, right? Mm-hmm. I raced motocross until I was 31, and that was enough. I actually got a pretty good injury the last year that I raced. You know, I got landed on and had 2 beltline hernias, and I mean, it's just, you know, at some point enough's enough. You know, I had a hernia for 2 years, and I didn't really know it when I was younger. But as you get older, you start feeling stuff a little more. It's a little more. You're just older.
And how did it affect you? Because I've heard that kind of sneaks up on other people as well.
It was just taking my stamina. I couldn't. I would feel tired. No matter how hard I worked out, I would feel tired earlier than I should have. No matter what shape I was in, there was something wrong. You could tell. It's like a coolant leak or an oil leak on a car. It's like, hey, why am I losing oil? Well, why is my? And then you find the leak is in the head gasket, and so your engine performance is going down because you're leaking coolant or oil directly into the cylinder. So you're burning oil or you're burning coolant, right? And that's not explosive. So now you lose power, and that's what it felt like to me. Sorry for the mechanical reference.
No, it's interesting because, yeah.
So yeah, coming home, it was good. It was a good feeling coming home. I'm ready to pick up where we left off. I'm ready to, spend time with our animals, with any friends or people that we might hang out with. My parents and my brother and his wife. Dave and Bob and Jim and Jack and Joe and Bill and Jeff, just get out there and do our normal stuff. I think it's always good coming home.
Yeah, I think staying the extra couple days was helpful, and I felt definitely recharged.
The greatest part about it was we could. I knew that stuff was going on here because I have people that I can rely on. You knew that stuff was going on with your business because it's an online business that's always open, but you even did a full class on the Friday before we left. We were at the coffee shop from 9 in the morning till 3:30, 9:30 to 3:30. And we
She's just deciding which
we
bed she
spent a
wants
day.
to
Yeah, I
lay
was
in.
looking at my cat, Maggie. I think she's got too much stuff stacked up there. So how does it feel for you coming home?
Well, I definitely feel I was ready, which was good. Our previous date, which was 3 days earlier, I was already feeling anxious about, and I'm really glad that we came back on a Saturday so that we had this day, Sunday, to, essentially a weekend day. She just wanted to lay on the paper. She's laying outside of her bed on crinkled paper.
I took the paper out because I thought it was bugging her, so I guess I got to put it back in.
Cats. So that's definitely something to note. Coming back on a weekend was a really good idea, and I feel ready. I don't think you do this, but I tend to want to kind of reset and reestablish some good habits when I come back, because coming home you so easily get into your routine and patterns
I
again.
just do it.
You
We
just
talked
do
about
it?
it in the car. You talk about it, I just do it. I don't talk about it.
But I'm already finding it challenging. Like I intended to do yoga right away in the morning, and I'm like sleeping in, just enjoying our bed first of all.
Yeah, our comfy bed versus our camper bed.
Yes, totally. And then it's, I want to clean out the camper, and so I'm already finding myself kind of back in that mode. And so this talk doesn't need to be about that. I obviously need to address that in myself, because I tend to get into a do mode, and that was the whole point.
Well, there's a lot to do.
There's a lot to do.
If you have a house, you have an apartment, you have a condo, whatever, a tent, a camper.
Yeah.
You've always got stuff to do. You got stuff to clean up, stuff to organize. You get,
And with a camper, we've always done Airbnb, hotel room kind of thing. With a camper, you have the camper to clean up too.
Yep.
And so, granted, it's a small space, so that shouldn't take long at all. We got most of the stuff out last night, And now I just want to clean the surfaces and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's another thing to do. And it does definitely.
Then we have to unhook it. I got to store the hitches because we got the leveling hitch, which is a gigantic, heavy hitch with big steel bars. And so we got to figure out where we're going to put that, or I do. And yeah, there's lots of things. Got to clean out the vehicle.
It does make me, each time there's something to do, kind of like that, it makes me consider and reconsider. We have a relatively low maintenance lifestyle right now. We have a shared property with your parents, so it's basically one property, and so we have all the maintenance of, what is it? How many acres is it here?
3 acres, and then we have 3 alongside, so 6 total.
So there's still that maintenance of the country life, but it's kind of divided. I mean, so, but, there's still that stuff to do. Anyways, so it just makes me extra cautious about how much we add to our lifestyle. You think you're adding something because it'll be fun, but it's a really slippery slope.
Well, that happened with, when I raced motocross and I raced snowcross and I raced flat track quads, I had, excuse me, I had one motocross bike, thankfully. I had 2 snowmobiles because I was in pro class and pro stock. And then I had a flat track quad. So I had all that equipment, all those bikes, you can call them, and then we had a trailer. We had a gigantic 4-place trailer.
Then you need a vehicle that can haul that.
We had a vehicle to pull it, but we needed a vehicle, big Suburban with diesel engine, and then you had the load. You had generators and gas cans and tools and all your clothing, and so you had big duffel bags, and we brought extra track for snowmobiling. We brought an extra track. We had just.
So hockey parents can take
Hockey
it.
parents can't imagine what we had to do. There is no sport like motorsports.
No.
I mean, you see these rigs going down the road with a semi, and a semi trailer, and that's just one guy. That's just one racer.
They might have another kid.
Well, they might have a couple of kids, yeah. But
Yeah.
you go to the racetrack and you know.
And that is not even pro or anything. That's
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Coming up in the ranks.
Right.
Literally.
Gigantic campers, toy haulers, and then a truck pulling a trailer behind it with mom or brother driving,
Now it does make for a good family time. There is definitely a unification.
it's spectacular.
Working together.
Yeah, you're in the vehicle the whole way there. You might be driving 4 hours. So you got to work out. You don't have problems with each other. You have fun. You just, hey, can you do this? Yeah, grab that. All right, okay. And a lot of these young racers get homeschooled by their parents, and they're homeschooled at the track or on the way or whatever it is, whatever their schedule looks like. And yeah, it's amazing the amount of work you have to do that. And that's why it's so easy for me. It's like, okay, I'll hook up the camper and I'll turn it a little bit and I'll move it because we weren't totally level for a couple days. And we're like, let's level this out a little bit more. And then, it's just like, I'll hook it up, move it over. It's all loading and unloading, all that stuff. Nothing phases me, because it's nothing compared to what we used to do.
Yeah.
And
Well, and even, we were living in the camper essentially for 9 days, which isn't a tremendous amount of time. But my family, growing up, we spent a lot of summers in the RV. We would, for a couple summers at least, I don't remember how many, my parents would park their RV at my uncle's at the lake. And we would just go up there on the weekends, so we had a place to stay. And then we actually lived in, that motorhome must have been, I don't know, was a medium-sized motorhome, so not small, not the really big one.
like our camper, maybe a little longer, like a
Oh, it was
30,
longer.
32 footer or something.
Yeah, it was. And we lived in the motorhome for at least 3 months while my parents were building a house. So I was definitely used to the camper life, like this was no problem, which was helpful, I think, in that way when you're, just kind of following on the heels of it's not a problem.
Well, ours is a 22-footer. Could sleep 3, but comfortably 2.
Yeah, like 2 adults, 1 kid.
1 kid.
Yeah.
There's a sleeper on the dining room table. You can
Or a big dog or a
fold it
small
down.
dog or something
I
like
wouldn't
that.
fold down a table for a dog.
Well, we did find out that we didn't take any pictures. Maybe we should, even though it'd be kind of we filled up the camper. Like I didn't even try to, and we obviously had to clean up for like when we were eating and stuff. But like surfaces were always full.
Well, and we're strategizing now too. We're getting smaller towels and different things
Yeah.
like that because we just took our regular stuff and
Yeah, I got some hand-me-down towels from your mom. They were kind of old for a household, but just fine for camping.
well, they look brand new.
Well, they look great and they're beautiful. And they actually, our camper is actually a better match decor than our house. But we found out they're too thick. They would hardly dry. And even
Yeah.
though that environment was not
South
humid.
Dakota, it was dry. Yeah,
Yeah.
it took a long time because the towels were thick. But I already ordered them. I ordered some. We're going for the medium-sized towel, so I ordered some camp towels. They're 16 by 32, so they're about this wide by about that
Yeah,
tall.
that's-
So they're medium. They're not a hand towel. They're a good camp towel.
Yeah.
And they say quick dry. They say quick dry microfiber. We'll just see because I don't like total. It should be. Hopefully, it's terry cloth microfiber, kind of like that.
Like your orange wrap thing.
Yeah, if it's like that,
Yeah.
that'll be perfect. Yeah.
I don't remember the whole brand name, but because I don't
Orange
like.
Mud is the
Is it?
brand name. Yeah.
So it's your sport kilt.
Yeah. Well, it's for changing at the mountain bike park
We're sorry.
and hey Star.
We're back home. She was laying on my dirty clothes earlier,
Yeah.
just now, in the laundry.
Got to reminisce the scents.
Yeah,
She's
because I
like,
don't.
Oh, you were in South Dakota.
Yes, I know where you were. Yeah, I don't care for the microfiber feel. Like
Yeah.
they're even supposed to be good for dusting, but they get caught on my fingers.
Yeah, they
and-
catch on your skin a little bit.
Yeah, that just feels. Ugh. So
Yeah.
yeah, I hope they're more of that kind of texture too.
The
We'll,
orange
we'll
mud.
let you know.
Yeah.
So towels. Yeah, we got hooks. So stick on those command strip
3M. Yeah.
hooks.
3M command.
And that was helpful.
Yep.
We even
Absolutely.
got some of the white ones, and then we got even some of the plastic, but they're made to look like a silver finish, and that looked good because we have more of like the gray theme.
They even make them in metal. You can get metal ones.
Yeah, I didn't splurge on those.
I know. You're a good shopper.
Let's see what else was handy. Well,
Your
we can-
sippy cup shot glass
is
has run
empty.
out.
Thank you.
There you go.
I didn't mind that the Murphy bed that folds down into a sofa and then folds up into a sofa,
Yeah.
folds down into a bed. I didn't mind doing that every day. How about you?
Oh, that's fine.
There are some nice cubbies on each side. And so at first it looks like this just closets,
Oh yeah.
which are great too, but tucked under that are like cubbies, and we figured out we could put the blankets there, which was super handy. The pillows go up above. You could squeeze the pillows down below.
There's a
too.
shelf above the Murphy bed when it's folded up.
Yeah.
Underneath the closets on either side, there's about a 2.5 by 1 foot space just on either side of your head, on each side, like nightstands.
Yeah.
And they're really nice.
Great. You
Yeah.
could. I fit an extra pair of set of sheets.
Yeah.
All of our blankets.
I had my handguns right next to me on my side.
Yeah, you were set.
Yeah. Well,
And
just
then-
in case, Dog Man shows up.
Well, and then we've figured out that there's a huge storage space under the bench seats for the table.
Yep.
So there are 2 bench seats for the dining table. That's the slide out, pop out. So this is the Springdale Keystone Mini version, which has lots of counter space, which was the main reason. Well, it was an overall great setup,
It is good.
plus all the counter space, which was like twice as much as you get in about any
Right.
camper or RV.
Yeah, for its size, it's extremely usable.
Yes.
The shower is, you could say it's a full-size shower per se. I mean, I can stand up straight in it, but my head touches, just barely, touches the ceiling if I stand up straight.
And you're 6 feet tall.
Yeah, and so width wide, it's comfortable standing in. If I turn sideways, my arm is in the curtain, and so, but it's very, very usable. It's better than an outdoor shower. It's better than a shower and bathroom like we talked about on a previous cast.
Yeah.
And you know, it's nice because it's separate. It's great. The
I'm
water
glad-
heater worked fabulously.
Oh, terrific.
Never ran out of hot water at all.
Within just a few minutes, you could have hot water,
Oh yeah.
and it was super easy. We did figure out that, so the bathroom fan was really great too. We used that a lot, just
Yeah,
for
pulled the
even
humidity-
circulation.
Yeah, pulled the humidity out, or yeah, you just, if you wanted to cool off the place, if it was a cool night, you just turn on the fan, open the windows,
Yep, and suck it in.
suck all the cold air right in.
We did have the carbon monoxide alarm go off, and we learned that you have to have a window open
Yeah.
even while you have the heater. If you have the bathroom fan on,
Yeah,
you need to have an external window open while you have the heater on.
Yes.
Otherwise, it will just.
well, you're
sit.
sucking everything through the furnace then. You're sucking,
Yeah.
you'll suck gas in and stuff. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Few things to learn about. So Orange Mud is just orangemud.com. And that's a great, like you said, that wrap. They call it the wrap. I'm surprised they didn't come out with towels yet. But it doubles as a seat cover. So you can wrap it. You can change out of your clothes, you know, your bottoms basically, in a parking lot at a mountain bike park. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And then if you're wet or sweaty or dirty and you don't have a place or time to clean off, it has a little zipper on one of the middle, and so it makes like a head thing. You can flip over your headrest on your car, and then it just sits on your seat like a blanket. And so it's a seat protector also.
Which is great, because even with leather seats, the car can end up smelling sweaty.
Yeah, yeah. If you get in your vehicle too many times, like
Sweaty.
after the gym or after riding, and you've been working out, yeah, your car will start to smell like you.
Yes.
As you pointed out in my vehicle.
Yeah, which we got to pick up. It's just gotten detailed, fortunately.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
been a while.
the biggest thing is it got new plugs and coils, so
I'm excited it got detailed.
I don't care if it smells like me. Everybody can sniff me.
Well, your kitty would absolutely love it.
She'd be like, let's go for another ride.
Yep.
I'll snuggle up right here, and you can burp and fart and raise your armpits and just be yourself, Daddy-O.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, when we maybe
She's so crazy.
when we leave, I'll leave a dirty shirt, like one of your night shirts or your underwear, and put it on one of her spots where she sleeps or naps.
She just
And
jumps up and lays on it.
Loves it. Yeah. Loves it.
Well, pheromones are the key, right?
I guess.
We met in my martial arts gym, and you fell in love with me there.
Yeah, it was definitely the pheromones.
It must have been.
So coming back it's a good time to reset. It's definitely like going away. It is a good time to observe habits for me, and to hopefully change those habits. I think as I get older and wiser, that it is really amazing how we can have, your habits really do follow you around. And, you know, it doesn't matter who you date next, where you move to, you really have to make that concerted effort yourself to make the changes. And sometimes, yes, making that physical move, you know, sometimes, yes, you have to get rid of friends or move out of a certain area in order to aid getting rid of certain habits or changing certain habits. And you can do it, it doesn't always even have to be negative. You can make new friends. You know, perfect example, you know, is when I met you at the martial arts gym. I didn't meet you at a bar, you know?
At a bar.
I wanted, and then this is probably why, you know, staying active is on our list of,
You know why you didn't meet me at a bar?
I wasn't old enough to be
Because
in a
when
bar.
you first came in, you were 18.
Yeah. Yes, and that was fortuitous as well. Although I think I had better sense than, at least for what I wanted in life.
Yeah.
And soon after we met, too, after we were married and so forth, like if someone were to ask me, how do I meet the man of my dreams? Or like, well, go to the places that do what you like to do.
Do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll find someone that happens to like to do the same things.
Potentially. They might be for different reasons, right?
Might be.
You were a student, I was an instructor. That's two different things. I was out teaching the world, whatever I could, and you were there to learn.
Yep. And it's not that I was even looking for someone. That's
Right.
And I think that's the benefit is
Neither was I.
if you are looking for a mate, if you just try to just do the things that you like to do,
Right.
then your objective is
There's too many lists. People make too many lists. They're trying too hard.
your energy is different though too. If you're doing something that you enjoy, like since I wasn't looking for a guy, my energy was different. I was learning. I was in my element, and
When
you got
came
to
in,
see me.
You technically had a boyfriend
Yes.
in a different country. So good for me and for you.
Yep. Well, and you got to see me for me instead of me, the hunter or huntress.
The huntress.
Yes. The cougar cub.
No, so for those who may be listening to this as a first podcast, as an instructor, you don't date your students. So my rule, and this was my rule with all my instructors that I was training to be instructors, is if you date somebody, you better be planning to marry them, because you're going to get a terrible reputation. You don't want to be a player. In martial arts is different. I see lots of people dating people in their chosen field, but in martial arts, there is an intrinsic honor, there's an intrinsic respect, it's built in. And so you're not looking to, you're looking to train, you're looking to better yourself. You're not looking for somebody when you train martial arts. And so you came in, to be honest, I'll say this for the podcast, I was not attracted to you at all. It wasn't like, oh, hey, because you came in with a couple of gals, a couple of young ladies, and it wasn't like, oh, hey, here's three hotties walking in, whoa, look at this. It was like...
They were probably exchange students.
Yeah. I think one lived in town somewhere because I don't know. You probably know better than me. I know one was an exchange student for sure because of the way she talked, but so I had hundreds of people coming into my school. It wasn't like I was looking for a girlfriend. I was single. I was literally not looking. And my big thing was to be able to pay my rent. I need more students. I need more people training. Oh, good. Here's some people. I'm sure they have friends. Let's.
She brought in friends right away.
Right. Let's get them involved. Let's get them excited. Let's get their friends in. Let's get their family in. And I had weightlifting. I had a gym. I had stand up tanning. I had supplements counter. I was selling everything from magnesium to power bars to whatever, protein bars, protein shakes, everything. Multivitamins. I was selling knives. I had a Benchmade dealership, and I had a spin class in the back room, and I had a yoga class. So it was like, if you came in, there was something for your parents too. If your parents came in, there was something for you.
My mom literally did the tanning.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And you probably had maybe 2,000 square feet or something. I mean, it wasn't huge.
It wasn't huge, no, but we're packed.
Yeah, you made really good use of the space.
Yeah.
Really good. And you had a little office upstairs.
Yep.
And you made great use of the space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then we had that front area for seating with high tables for eating your snacks or making your protein shakes or whatever. People would come in and sit around. It looked like a little cafe, and it was in the front window. So
yeah.
I did that on purpose. So when people were sitting in there, people walk by and they'd be like, "Hey, what is this?"
Yeah.
A lot of times people, they come in without even looking. They thought it was a coffee shop because people would go to the coffee shop, Heidi's coffee shop up on the corner. They would go to the coffee shop. They would come down and they would sit in our high table area because we were playing music and people were working out and people were tanning and there's a lot going on. And people would come in and they'd be like, "Oh, I thought this was a coffee shop." And I was like, I wish, another way to get people in, that would have been great. But I only had enough money to do, I only had $65,000 when I opened my school. So I didn't have enough money to do a coffee shop plus do everything else I did.
And that sounds like a great deal of money. That is a very good deal of money.
Not when you're starting a physical business.
Yes, it goes very quickly.
Yeah.
You could have just had that coffee, because usually people who are training like to get amped up on coffee.
There wasn't canned coffee back then.
Oh, I was just, yeah. But even if you had, anyways.
There was only only
20 years
only Starbucks had
in the can.
in the glass bottles at gas
that's
stations.
right,
That's
yeah.
all there was back then. Was
they were on the cutting
Starbucks cafe or mocha or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was way too much sugar for me to have in my school.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, you made excellent use of that space for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
That space is still a workout facility.
Yeah. The guy across the street took it. Well, I built it out perfectly.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
We had changing rooms. We had
that's
men and
right.
women changing rooms. We had the bathroom. The bathroom was downstairs. That was a little bit of a regulatory problem because they were like, well, you need to be able to. The city inspector came in and he's like, well, how are handicapped people going to go to the bathroom? And I'm like, I don't know, in their pants. I'm like, what? I don't know how handicapped people go to the bathroom.
Okay.
He was like, that's not funny. And I'm like, we're a martial arts studio.
Yeah.
We don't get handicapped people coming in. If they can do martial arts, they can go to the bathroom. It's like, and there are people that are paraplegics in wheelchairs that do martial arts and that kind of stuff. But, I said, there's businesses next door. There's, little
They're usually accommodating.
coffee shop here and there. I said, they don't have to, when they come in, I'll tell them. I said, you want me to move out? He's like, no. Because the town wasn't a booming town. And the street was kind of being redone by businesses like me. The guy across the street had a fitness studio. And so it was, and they were old buildings.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really hard to accommodate the modern conveniences in these really old buildings. So I'm like, hey, this is kind of like a historical landmark, right? And he's like, well, not officially, but I'm like, well, how old is this building? Well, the 1940s, and blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah, that would have been the newer ones. Most of them were the old brick buildings.
yeah, well, ours was wood.
1890 or something.
It did have 3 brick sides, but it was wood on the front, so they could have been older than 1940. But yeah, I was trying every angle to
Yeah, I hear it.
trying every angle to make sure my business could be open and stay open. And
Not cost you another 20 grand.
Me and Langdon repainted everything. We built everything. We did everything in there. Otherwise, it would have cost me 20 grand just to build out. And all I had to do was buy the lumber, and we spent the sweat equity into it. So yeah, when you're talking $65,000 for a business, that's not very much at all. I did start my machine shop with less than that. I got an email from my dad, a manual email, and then I bought a $27,000 3-axis email, and then I had to buy a compressor. I had to put in the electrical. I had to get phase converters and put those on the machines because I only had 220 single phase, and I did all of that in our townhome.
Yeah.
In the garage.
Incredible.
I asked the owner of the townhome complex, I said, can I put in a hobby shop in the garage? He said, sure. And I brought the machines in at night, and I didn't want anybody to see. Then I never opened the garage door again.
Well, fortunately, we were at the very corner townhome. Our attached neighbor, was hardly ever home.
Right.
It was just amazingly perfect.
And I didn't have noisy machines. I built a soundproof unit around my air compressor, so you couldn't even hear it run when you're standing next to it.
The upgrade to the garage.
Well, I painted the garage. I did all the outlets. I ran the 220. I did everything.
Yeah.
Put in lights. So yeah, the garage was just a custom garage after we left.
Thank goodness he was like just
He
go.
was, he was an old guy.
Yeah.
He was an old farmer. And
Old farmer. He was an architect who actually designed all the town.
everything.
It was
yeah.
family land apparently.
Yeah.
The family decided to make it, rental complex.
Yeah.
And so he designed all the townhomes, and yeah. So fortunately, he's just.
I should do a rundown of all the businesses I've had my whole life at some point. Not right now, but.
Yeah, you'll have to write them down first to
Right,
remember.
I will.
Yeah, that was very fortuitous.
But yeah,
as
so
well.
you came in and you were not looking. I was not looking. You know what we're talking about right now on J&T Marital Arts, the podcast, is we have one of two of the 10 arts you're talking about. Well, you're talking about number 7, which is planning. You're asking, what does it feel like coming home after vacation? And then you're talking about changing some of your habits or trying to.
Well, here's what I realized on vacation is I tend to overplan. I'm admitting it, John.
What?
I'm admitting
what?
it.
Oh,
Yes.
it's on recording. Yes, write it down.
And so what I noticed is, as I was letting go.
This must be truth serum, this coffee.
As I was letting go it took a good 3 days to start really let go. Like I didn't let loose until like the 4th day.
Yeah.
And I already knew that I needed to reset, but I was so tired and so like nearly burnt out that I just like couldn't even figure out and didn't even want to like plan, ironically.
I know. We walked into the coffee shop and you're like, oh. The gal was like, what do you want? And you're like, I'm on vacation and my brain has stopped working.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm going to think. Hold on.
And it was kind of a strange relief, like, oh, yay, I can't make a decision. But it's like, oh, crap, I hope nothing happens in business that I really need to be called, to attention.
I'm always by your side.
Yes. So, ironically, it was difficult even the couple times that I journaled. I thought that I would journal every day, kind of process through things.
Oh, yeah.
It was just a couple times.
Like when you go on vacation, you think you're going to write a book because you're going to have all this time. I'm just going to write.
No, I never think that.
Well, a lot of people do.
Okay.
I kind of thought that.
So I thought I was going to be structuring, and then I realized in the vacation that, time off. It wasn't like technically a vacation, because we were podcasting and
It's our kind of vacation. First of all, what's a vacation, right? There has to be a definition, right? Is a vacation what you've seen in the movie where somebody goes and lays on the beach and just does nothing?
Whatever a vacation is by the IRS terms, it was not that.
Okay, that's enough.
Yep. So
we were working totally.
Absolutely.
I'm
Just check out our Instagram feeds. You'll see where we went.
well. Here, I'll tell you something. Honestly, this is divulging. I'm being truthful. I will never go anywhere and not work.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Honestly,
Well-
I'm not that kind of person that just goes and does nothing.
Yeah. So the purpose was to live several days in a new location so that we
Live in our
could
camper.
we could reset, and we shared with you on the podcast about our experience. Definitely check out the Black Hills. Well worth the drive. Take enough
Hiking,
time.
biking, or side-by-siding, or just walking with your spouse and talking.
It's for the scenery.
Yeah.
Driving through.
And if you're single, you might meet another single hiker.
Ooh. Someone to share your side-by-side with. So yeah, check out our Instagram feeds for where we stopped, what we did, and that we mentioned on the podcast. So anyways, getting back to, I thought that I would kind of reset, and what I realized is it happens to all of us. Our greatest attribute can become our greatest downfall. And one of my attributes is being able to organize, to plan, to structure. And so planning, yes, is number 7, marital art number 7. And I tend to plan for us, and sometimes you shirk off my planning. That's just too much. And I kind of did that. It was a realization while we're away, is that what I thought was the remedy which was to kind of restructure my daily living, was actually part of the problem. And I work with a really renowned, amazing astrologer who specializes in medical astrology. Now, she can do all kinds of astrological readings, but we specialize on her academy in medical astrology.
Mm-hmm.
And she was kind of extolling how, like, I just needed your help in, organizing this and putting it together. And the people I work with call me their producer.
So what is it about medical astrology? I mean, a lot of people laugh about astrology. What's just a quick synopsis? What's behind that?
Well, a quick synopsis would be that, like, people are accustomed to reading their horoscope. So, today you might encounter some challenges in business, just be aware.
Or today is a good day for a new love interest.
Right, of course. And so medical astrology is similar in the sense that you can look at your natal chart, so that's the imprint of the stars at the point that you were born, and it shows the energies, essentially, of what shows up in your life and what your character is. And then there's the concept of transits. So the planets are also moving all around us at any moment in the day. And so the transits can affect us. It's kind of like, let's say, you're watching a laser light show.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say the laser lights are projecting onto a surface, and as the laser lights move, they show a different image.
Yeah.
And so let's say that the planets are like those laser lights, and they have their own colors and frequencies. Maybe one is strobing, one is constant. And so by how they're moving around us affects the energy that affects us. And so it not only can affect your love life, what might happen in business, and it's not predestined, so to speak. It's just what you'll encounter. And I like to see it as like the waves of the ocean. Each one is different, and they don't have to engulf you, but you need to watch it.
But they're affecting the shore, and they're affecting the bottom of the water. They're affecting things,
And you can surf it, or you can be like, oh my God, here comes another wave.
Or it could slam you into the reef and kill you.
And so being aware, I don't like to use astrology in the sense of to be afraid or as doom and gloom, but just to observe, okay, this is the type of wave that looks like is forming. Where am I on the shoreline?
Yeah.
How do I need to position myself? Do I need my paddleboard? Do I need a boat?
Can I surf? You got to know your level of expertise. There are certain waves you don't want to try and take on.
Right.
Yeah.
And so medical astrology is similar in that sense, where it's just addressing your health concerns.
Yeah.
And you can see why. Anyway,
there are times when somebody is more susceptible to certain ailments.
Mm-hmm.
You're just like your biorhythms, just like the time of the season. Why do people get the flu in the fall? Because all of the pressures and temperatures and dew points and everything is changing. The dryness in the air, or the moistness, or everything is changing, and that causes your body to want to detoxify.
Or just be affected by cool weather.
Yeah. Well, some people, after they've broken a bone, they say, I know exactly, an hour before it's going to rain without even knowing that it's going to rain, because they can feel the barometric pressure shifting, right?
So I was
just like the moon influences the water. The moon influences cycles, crops, planting, growing, a woman's cycle.
So her name is Judith Hill, and we had a meeting on the phone on the way back.
And what's the site name?
The Academy for Astrological Medicine.
.com.
And
is Academy spelled with a Y?
Yes.
Okay. Some of them are.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
I.e.
Academy for Astrological Medicine. Really fascinating. There's a free class there about. It'll rotate, but check out the free class because there's just super fascinating stuff. And we do a monthly forecast as well for what to be aware of, what's coming up. Not predestined that things will affect you, but just again, these are the waves that are coming. And
it's like checking the weather.
It's totally like checking the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to go mountain biking on Wednesday, you look at the weather and you go, oh, good, it's going to be 70 plus and sunny.
Yeah.
You know, no chance of rain.
Yep.
You know, sometimes it rains, but
So we were talking, having a meeting on the way we were on the way home, and she was saying, how you organize, and those are my attributes, right? But there's a point where it becomes too much, and I have a tendency to go overboard in the planning and the organizing. And where it is more challenging to just kind of go with the flow and just have a day where it's like, I don't know, whatever comes up, or I have these things to do. I constantly have a list.
and if you have a list about a list, which one matters?
A list about a list?
Yeah, sometimes you have a list about a list, or if you make a list and you can't find it or you don't look at it, or if there's too many things on the list you can't remember, and then we talk about compartments and slowing things down a little bit and not having too many lists.
Well,
We don't have to get into it
the
now,
caveat is that a list, it can be relief so that it's not in my mind.
In your brain.
And I'm not having to feel like I constantly need to remember.
Yeah.
So it is a method of letting go. But, it also depends on how often you're looking at the list, or I have a tendency to put too much, try to get too much done in it. And I think that's so this podcast is also about business, right? Being in business together, or both being entrepreneurs separately and together. And what's challenging is, other than, kind of
The marriage with business and the business of marriage.
I've pretty much always been a self-contractor, and I've had jobs as a teenager where I worked for the census. That was as an employee. I cleaned hotel rooms, but everything since then, translating all kinds of stuff, has been as a self-contractor. And so I don't have a reference for, this is like a standard work week, and this is what is reasonable to get done in a week. To me, my work week is like a buffet, and usually there's just plenty to do. Buffet is not the best analogy for it. It's a food fight, and and it's like I'm trying to keep things from getting too dirty.
At a food fight, you want to have the mashed potatoes because they stick.
And I'm trying to keep it from getting dirty. And
I've been in food fights in school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you want to be throwing the mashed
elementary.
Potatoes. Oh gosh.
Yeah, with the big old lunch ladies that would come in yelling and hollering, and we all laugh, and yeah. I want more mashed potatoes. You're not getting more mashed potatoes, John. You eat those and you can come back.
Oh gosh.
Oh, they knew.
They knew about those Johnnies.
Johnny, Timmy, and Jimmy.
So I have a tendency to be like, I've got to eat all this, and I have to catch all of it to make sure it doesn't get too out of hand.
Yeah.
And so I essentially I think I put too much on my plate, but it's hard to gauge that, because like what needs to get done needs to get done.
Well, there's always a running list, right? So there are things I could spend all day working in the shop today, but I'm not gonna. We're doing this. We're gonna have my parents over for a little bit. We're gonna clean the Yoda, the Squatch Yoda, and we're gonna clean the camper, and we're gonna get everything parked and situated, and then I'm gonna probably wanna bike a minute.
Yeah.
Go mountain biking or something. It looks pretty nice out. And maybe I'm gonna do something with my desk up here because it's pretty messy. And we'll see. But I got a list, 14 weeks long too.
Yeah.
There are tons of stuff I could do.
So how do you regulate that,
I choose the most important things. And sometimes it's most important to me. Sometimes it's most important to the business. Sometimes it's most important to you. And sometimes it's most important to us, right? So there are certain things, certain levels of things that I can live with. We came home, we got some packages while we were gone. I opened up a few of them, the most important ones. I left the other ones. There's 3 down there for you. And I left those because these other ones are more important to me. I got my AeroFit. I did my AeroFit first day test today. Checked my lung capacity and going to work on that. Just playing around with a device that hooks up to my phone. That was important to me. I got my monkey foot, which is a little strap around your ankle thing that holds a dumbbell, so you can do standing leg curls or whatever you want, however you want to use it. That's important because I don't have a leg curl machine, so I wanted to have that. And I've got now 5. We have part 1 and part 2 of some podcasts, but I got 5 to put up, 6 after this one. So we'll go through that. We'll schedule them out, and in between, we'll be cleaning up stuff and getting situated because tomorrow's Monday.
Yeah.
So I need to be down there when the guys get here, and I need to be doing the stuff I'm doing, and need to kind of go through the shop, see what got done over the weekend, see what needs to be done. I know I have to put probably a new air bleed valve on the front compressor because it wasn't working when I left, unless Alex got it working while I was gone. So got to do that, otherwise it'll fill up with water from the condensation, and then it'll rust out, and then it'll be wrecked. So lots of things.
So I'm recalling, I've had in my agenda to review. There's a book and a system called the Entrepreneurial Operating System, and
EOS.
EOS, and we reread it several years ago and went over it. That kind of addresses this, and it probably does. By I think it's Les McEwen, and his son is now operating it, and like they have strategies for. And I'm just faintly remembering this, like your Mondays and Fridays are more organizational days, and your Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and maybe I'm just kind of making this up in my own, from what I vaguely remember, but they help you to structure this type of thing. And I remember also them having a priority list, because what you're saying is part of that, you prioritize what's the most important. And where I get hung up, I think, is that I make a lot of things, too many things probably too important. Or like, I recently went through basically 2 launches, relaunching Judith's personal site and the Academy. And so those 2 launches in one, multiple events, and I didn't realize how far behind I was getting in other stuff. And so I was taking care of the high priority stuff, and then all of a sudden the medium and low priority stuff start stacking up, and then it comes to a point where they become a higher priority, right?
Yep.
Kind of like a volcano, you're handling the lava, you're handling the lava that's coming out the top, but there's still stuff building underneath.
So the EOS system, I just pulled it up here. They say the model is every business is comprised of 6 key components: vision, people, data, issues, process, and traction. And traction is obviously getting everything done and moving and then done. All the other stuff is pretty self-explanatory. And I believe every system out there works. Every system has their own terms because they got to sell their own stuff. I mean, just like we have the 10 marital arts. Number 1 is patience, then communication, then cooperation, then make love, then coping, then stay active, then plan, truth, humor, and the rule of 11. Those are the 10, right? Every system is going to work. You got to decide which system you want to buy into. You got to decide which components work for you and don't work for you. And then you got to gauge yourself, because when you start reading stuff like EOS, you're going to be like, oh, I'm not doing that. And then you start doing that thing and you realize you don't have any context for it. And then all of a sudden you're doing something, you don't know how it's supposed to work. And so you gotta break down, like I said, the most important things. What has to be done right now, and what do you want to get done right now. Like, I have 2 quotes that I could have sent out on Friday. I kind of have them done. They're not fully done. I could have worked on them a little more, but it was Friday, and I was like, they don't have to have these right now. If I get them out on Monday, it'll be the same, because somebody might get it in their email, and then they might talk to, hey, I got that quote back from M5. Oh, cool. Hey, let's look at it on Monday,
Yeah.
because, 3 o'clock, nobody's really working unless they own the business on a Friday, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, as a general rule. And so I let it slack, and it lets me think about it a little more, because I might have forgotten something. I might have missed something.
Yeah.
There's a couple of holes in those parts. One is a 19 thousandths diameter hole, which is 3 times the size of a human hair, roughly. And that one's big. So then there's a 12 thousandths diameter hole, and it's literally going 42 times length. And it's like, okay, what the hell's going on?
Wow.
We got to go 800 thousandths with the 19 thousandths hole. That's literally 8 times or 40 times length.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, so I got to think about it a little more. It might be a longer process than what I think. Maybe I quoted it at 10 minutes, but I need to quote it at a half hour.
Mm-hmm.
Because we might break drills, we might this kind of stuff until we get the process down. So then I'll put an NRE, a non-recurring engineering fee, for us to test drilling that deep with that small of a drill.
Mm-hmm.
So I could think, whoa, I got to get this quote out. But then I think to myself, well, they're not even quoting it with anybody else. Who else is going to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Who else is going to drill a 600 thousandths deep hole, which is a little more than a half an inch, that's 12 thousandths diameter?
Mm-hmm.
If they got someone else, good luck, to let them do it, because some of the stuff I don't even want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I just end up having to do it because no one else is doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and you're the purveyor of these sites. You're the only one doing them. So you're like, okay, I gotta check the site. First I gotta build the site, then I gotta check, then I gotta have a proofreader, then I gotta get the data up there, then I gotta put the, I gotta get everything, and then, well, what is the SEO like? Well, what is the, does the homepage look good? And I know you got a web tech now, and you've got a operations assistant that's doing lots of video editing and things for you now, and all that's great,
Yeah.
and even doing the interviews, being the moderator, you're building out your system,
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really exciting time for me, because I get to watch it, because I've done it so many times.
It's like being the target of the food fight. Like, everything comes my way.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I'm always available. I'm always willing to talk. I'm willing to help. There's so many things that you have to do, and I see it. And it's great, because you are literally becoming something different. You now know what it takes for the things you've done.
Mm-hmm.
And that is 90% more than anybody is ever going to do in their life. Most people will never build a business. Most people, whether even an online business,
Mm-hmm.
most people might comment online or post something on their Facebook. People don't even realize, a lot of people, websites exist anymore. They just do everything on social media and buy everything off Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
That don't realize that there's a gajillion websites out there whose data they're not seeing, whose information they're not learning about.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's exciting watching you build these things and helping and being part of it. And
Well, I do really appreciate your help, because I know you've been through multiple businesses, many years of those trials and rewards.
well, that
as
upstairs office you were talking about was 22 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting in that upstairs office building my website
Mm-hmm.
on a $6,000 Macintosh computer, Mac Tower, Apple computer, fastest. I had RAID discs in that thing. I had drives RAIDed together so I could do videos. So I had 3 drives in that thing. so I could have drives that could handle video. I mean, you had to spend a lot of money back then to do video on computers. The Final Cut was $1,000. I mean, now it's like $300.
Yeah.
It was. I had a big monitor, so I could have a big screen.
Yeah.
And man, you had to wait the processing time, and I'd set it up and come back overnight. Sometimes it wasn't done processing the next morning.
Yeah.
And then I had to HTML my entire website. I mean, I was borrowing JavaScript codes off. You go to sites, and I've showed you that before, where you could see the code on a site.
Yeah.
And in your browser, and you just grab the code. If that code was doing what you wanted.
Yeah.
So say you wanted a video slider, right? It's where you just click and it would go to the next picture or the next video. And if you didn't know how to write that script, you'd go find a website that was doing it, and then you'd grab the code, and then you'd put it in your website, and then everything would get messed up.
Oh, geez, yeah.
And then you'd have to find the little line that was, it'd be like greater than, less than, backslash, period, hash, hyphen, tilde, and then it'd be, a code referencing something on their site. You'd have to find that.
Yeah.
You have to take that bit of the code out so that it would work on your site. You'd have to put your code in that part, like in the JavaScript. I mean, it was a lot. So not only was I teaching martial arts, trying to run and start a business, dealing with a partner that didn't want to be involved some of the time, taking video, having the video being taken of my class, taking that video, getting it in the computer, editing the video, dealing with the local stuff, marketing and city planners and electrical inspectors, building code guys,
Yeah.
still working part-time in the machine shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Business is so easy now compared to that. There was the internet, but who was finding your website?
Yeah.
And back then, people were like, it's like, oh, did you go to our website? No, I don't. I haven't been to the library lately.
Right, right. Or my kid was on the computer all night.
Yeah, it wasn't like you whipped out your
homework.
smartphone. Yeah, it wasn't like you whipped out your smartphone and showed somebody your website and then text them the email ad or the web address
Or even to do a search.
Or,
It's
I mean,
not
you had to
robust.
tell people, that little space where the website name is, that's
Yeah.
called the URL bar. If you
Yep.
type in,
www.
yeah, www. or http
HTTP
// www.chaskamartialartsandfitness.com, and it was CM. What did I had an abbreviated version
Yeah.
too. So
CMAF.
CMAF.com, and I had chaskamartialartsandfitness.com, and I had martial arts chaska something.com, and it was all about, that was the SEO back then. That was as
Yeah.
far as you could go with SEO.
Well, that's still the basics.
Yeah, have
just-
multiple web names pointing that are descriptive.
Yeah, that have the main keywords.
Yep.
You got a finch there bopping
Nice
around.
little goldfinch.
Yeah, pretty.
So
Yeah.
I love watching it. I love being part of it. I love planning. Seeing these things come together. That's really, they say there's a visionary in a business. There's an integrator. There's all these types of people, and back then I had to be all of them. You're all of them. That's the best way to learn. What you're really good at, and to be good at everything is to be all of them.
Well, we had some great discussions on the way home. I was ready. I found that I was ready to talk about business again.
Yeah.
And I had mentioned that it was time to really, for the last over a year, I've really wanted to get into the promotional mode.
Yep.
It's really time to market. And I
Yeah.
forget what the contrast was. And you're like, that's great. You're not allowing the quote accountant to run the business, because that's the predominant side of me, is the integrator, is okay, how do we bring this all together? Let's watch the numbers, and so I have been able to adapt to not just run by the numbers.
Well, here's a message to everybody, and then I want to talk about a little shout out to Irvin and what he's doing. But So never, the theme is don't let the accountant run the business. The accountant can make certain decisions. The accountant is good at keeping track of things, but nowadays, with as easy as business is to run, I want to give a shout out to Irvin of Colombian Coffee Connection.
Mm-hmm.
Colombian-cc.com, sponsor of this podcast, primarily because I sponsor this podcast, because I'm part owner, and I buy my coffee. So I buy coffee from Colombia. It gets shipped right to my front door a couple weeks after roasting, and
What is the URL again?
Colombian-cc.com.
Oh, dash. COLO
COLO for Americans.
dash cc.com.
Yep. Colombian-cc.com.
Okay.
Are you typing it in?
Yeah, I thought I heard it wrong,
Oh.
and so I just wanted to make sure that it came out right.
No, it's great. And when you get there, it's in
It's in Spanish.
It's in Spanish, but if you look, there's a little world, little earth symbol up in the right-hand side. You can click on EN for English, and it will translate the entire site.
I'm trying to find and if you're on the mobile app, what you do is you click on the menu in the upper left corner, and then next to the spyglass search, to the right of that, it says CO.
Yep.
You tap on that, and then it will give you the option to see in English.
And if you look on the site and you look at the blog, you'll see our story, and you see John and Tara standing right there with the Colombian farmers.
Nice.
And then you see me and Irvin in front of a bell, looks like the Liberty Bell. That's at Luther College when we went down and met and talked about business with him.
Oh, nice.
Yep. So we were part of the founding of the. I'm going to put this on our Facebook right now, but we were part of the founding of this, and we went down and we helped the farmers. The big thing was, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the story, but we were sitting in the room, and I didn't speak English, and the farmers didn't, or I didn't speak.
Sometimes it's like you don't.
Sometimes I didn't speak Spanish or
Yeah.
NASA, and the farmers spoke NASA and Spanish. They did not speak English, so Irvin had to translate. And we were sitting with Misael, which is one of the best farmers in the area. And he was like, why should I want to do business with you? You know, because he's getting ripped off by the co-op, which are other Colombians. He wasn't mad at me because I was a white guy. He was mad at anybody that wanted to buy his coffee.
Yeah, and
because he didn't want to get ripped off.
And these are the middlemen that represent the free trade type organizations.
Yeah,
and
we
so
shouldn't probably get into that right now, but
Sorry.
yeah, equal exchange, free trade, all that kind of stuff.
Well, you just went into it further.
I know. Yeah. It's the best way to get this coffee is directly from the farmer. So you get it through Irvin, who deals direct with the farmers, not a co-op. And so I told Misael, I said, I'm going to pay you right now for the shipment that you're going to ship out in whatever it was, 3 weeks or whatever. And I said, I want this much money, and I'm going to pay you, I think we paid 4 times the amount, because it's the best coffee in the world. And, you know, bar none. I mean, the freshest, the fruitiest, the best coffee flavor, the most caffeine content.
Well, it's literally hand-picked, so they're making sure that they're only picking the ripe beans. They're not just harvesting whatever's available. Because what's unique about coffee is it's not like other crops, many other crops where, well, it would be like picking strawberries. Maybe people are more familiar with picking strawberries or raspberries.
Yeah.
Where, you know, if you have a machine, or even just a crew, and you just tell them pick everything, because it's more economical to do that, to just pick everything at once. But you get the better quality. I mean, imagine if you bought a pack of frozen berries and only a quarter of them were, or even half of them were ripe, because it was just more economical for them to pick all of them at once. Well, that's what the majority of coffee is just they pick everything. And so these are hand-picked, just the ripe beans. So that makes a very distinguishing difference.
Absolutely.
Did you want to say more about that? Because this came off the tangent about don't let
Business.
the accountant run the business.
So so I say business is very easy these days. And so Irvin is running an international coffee company essentially from his phone. There's a website, but essentially everything you get a hold of him through WhatsApp. You place the order online. You can PayPal him the money. And you get shipped. I mean, every order that I've placed, we're ordering 30 to 50 pounds at a time from Colombia. It comes via DHL, direct to our door within like 2 or 3 days. I mean, from Colombia, you got to be kidding me. I mean, it's insane how fast it gets here. And he'll tell me, oh, this stuff was just picked last week. We're roasting it next week. It gets roasted. He's like, the roasting is done. We'll be bagging it in a day. We're bagging it up. As soon as it's bagged up, they can ship it. And then I know the date, and then I let it sit for multiple weeks because you want to let it sit and kind of mature a little bit. You don't want to roast it and brew it because it's going to give off CO2 and it's going to, do its thing and kind of settle into itself. And it does get better flavor with time. So yeah, I mean, he's running a business literally from his phone. He delivers in Colombia. He ships all over the world. And I can't even, you can't even imagine something like that 20, 25 years ago for a young guy right out of college to have a business.
Right.
And he told me he's got a couple people coming in. There's a new investor that's coming in. And then there's going to be a new CEO who's run companies in the past. And I told him straight up on the call, I said they have to do every job. I said they need to be out with the farmers, they need to know the farmers. They need to watch the picking process. They need to watch the shipment process from the farmers because they're in these fields that are at an extreme angle, and you don't bring the horse. You bring a sling over your shoulder and you're hand picking the coffee. There's no machines doing this, and then you bring it up and you put it on the back of your burro or your horse and you walk it down the mountain. You bring it to the depulping and you bring it to the washing and then you bring it to the drying, and it's all by hand. And then it's packed up and it's brought to the roaster after it's dry, and then the roaster does his thing, and then I mean it's crazy the amount of work that goes into this coffee, but this is what they do. The NASA people at the top of the Andes Mountains, they grow coffee, and that's what they do, and this is their livelihood, and they're very good at it. And so anyway, I told him, I said, all of your new investors or employees, whoever they are, they have to know the entire process, because you never want a person. Somebody says, if the farmer calls and says we couldn't harvest because it rained. Well, if they get a torrential rain in the mountains, you don't go on the side of the mountain. You're going to be sliding in the mud, right? You got to wait. And so you don't want anybody ever yelling at your farmers, yelling at your roaster. All these people, when we were there, I wanted to just give them all money, because $10 would be like a month's income there, right? So I was just like, hey, Irvin, let's just drive around and hand out cash, And he's like, no, they don't want your money. They want to sell their product. They don't want help. They don't want help. They want to sell their product. It's like the Colombian American dream. It's like the American dream in Colombia. Just let me own my stuff and make my product and sell it to you. Pay me a fair price and I will be happy, right? And so, and it's hilarious because you're at the top of the Andes Mountains and this really primitive looking farmer dude pulls a cell phone out of his pocket, and they're doing business. They're doing modern business, but it's really in a heritage fashion. It's an heirloom heritage way of doing business, doing their business, but they're communicating with modern technology. And it blows my mind. I can contact Irvin right now. We could get him on the podcast right now. And he's in Colombia. And we'll do a live cast in the next few weeks or something. We'll bring him on to talk about it, and we'll just talk business, and we'll go through the story about how we met. We'll hear his his funny stories about me and you and
Yeah. Well, we should start mentioning too that we'll take questions. Hit us up
Oh,
on
yeah,
our
totally.
Instagram, and
Yeah.
we actually have a Facebook group as well, which will be curating more.
Marital Arts on Facebook.
Yeah, it's a private Facebook group, and we'll probably be doing more of the Q&A there as well. And I spoke with Linnea, so when we were in Spearfish, we were also visiting some friends, and they own a business together. And we didn't end up getting them on the podcast, but I mentioned it to her because, it's not too often these days. It used to be that all couples pretty much ran a business together, the family farm. And these days it's really rare, and especially to find a couple that they're obviously still in love, enjoy each other, enjoy hanging out outside of the shop.
Yep.
And so I'd love to have them on and kind of sharing some of their stories or anecdotes and so forth. So yeah, that's something to look forward to as well. So if you have questions, whether you're in business or not, the marriage itself is really an enterprise. And the same principles apply. And so you're always working together on your life, on something. So yeah, we definitely welcome, and we'll take your questions. We'll just mention first name or initials. If you specifically want to remain anonymous, just let us know. But yeah,
drop questions in about business, marriage, life, anything, kids.
And even if you're
anything.
dating, I don't know how many people would
yeah.
Tune into a Marital Arts as they're dating. But maybe you're considering getting married or popping the question or something. Maybe you're engaged.
Well, we knew each other for what, 2 months, 3 months before we went on our first kind of outing. We went on an outing. It wasn't even a date.
Yeah, you were the third wheel.
Right. I wanted to kiss you and you wouldn't kiss me. I was like, I could really kiss you right now. And you're like, well, I kind of have a boyfriend still. Technically. Yeah.
And apparently that meant a lot to you.
It meant a hell of a lot. And that would be the dating advice to young people is young women need to restrain. Young men are always going to go for it. Young women need to say no. And they need to say no with kind of a let on that there's something in the future, because that's the chase. Young guys love the chase. And Starry loves to meow while we're talking. She's part of the conversation. But Starry's our cat, by the way, if you couldn't tell. One of our cats. And I think it meant an incredible amount to me that we had so much fun, and you were willing to say, and you were honorable in your statement that you couldn't kiss me because technically you still had a boyfriend. You hadn't seen him in 6 months, and because you hadn't been back to Brazil. Mm-hmm. But I was very intrigued by you.
Yeah, because he wasn't like just in the other room or had his back turned.
Right.
Yeah.
No, and I got to know you before any of that. I knew you in multiple ways. I knew you as a person who had a job. I knew you as a person who was taking martial arts. I knew you as a person who had friends. You'd bring friends into the gym every now and then, hey, come and try this out, whatever. Mm-hmm. And I also knew you as somebody who was helping me at my martial arts school. You would go out and put up flyers and market, because that's what we had to do back then. Mm-hmm. 21, 22 years ago, we had to put up flyers on telephone poles and hand them out at
events and
coffee shops and grocery store bulletin boards and
yep.
business
cards.
Demos. And we had to do demos in the park, and I could give out a ton of dating advice. How to really lock in a guy, and how a guy can lock in a girl and into a relationship really solidly. Just be a real definite, solid person that has morals and guiding principles and that type of stuff. It's not just about giving him what he wants because you think he's going to go away. If you give him what he wants immediately, he will go away, because he will be looking for the next person that wants to give him what he wants. And that's really exciting for guys. Guys that are in that mode, they're really excited by that kind of stuff. And
What's that kind of stuff?
by getting what they want.
Oh.
You know, the thrill of the chase, if they get the kill, the thrill of the hunt, right? If they get their prey, it's done.
Yep.
And then they're off to the next prey.
They got their prize.
Guys are like a cat. Like, you know how a cat will just kill birds and animals all day long because they're so thrilled by the chase, getting their claws in something and biting it and choking it to death. You know, that really excites a cat, and especially a house cat. And they'll kill, you know, up to 100 birds or 100 rodents and birds a day easily. And they're just doing it for the thrill. And so you got to watch out for those kinds of guys. And I don't know how many women like that are out there, but I know there's a few. Got to watch out for that type of woman too.
Well, and the preventative measure is to just not give it out right away, even if it's a kiss.
Well, and to be interesting in a different way.
Yeah.
You know, and we went out salsa dancing. So that was the interest of the evening. Well, dancing is sexual, you know, no matter what anybody says, especially the dancing nowadays, the way people dance is totally sexual, right? Even old flamenco dancing, you know, it's all, you know, showing your wares, basically, the way that you move.
It all started with Elvis the Pelvis.
No, it didn't. It all started with people watching birds and the flamboyant method of animal mating routines and, you know, courting routines and that kind of stuff. It really.
You should share that video you showed me the other day. Was it a peacock or something trying to show off?
It was a bird.
Peahen.
It was like a peacock, but
Yeah.
it was, man.
And she was just like,
I don't know.
It could have really good.
That
good
dude
comments.
was wore out, but I mean, there was no copulation happening at the end of that. He was wore out by the effort he was putting forward.
Man, he was working it.
He was working it.
Yep.
Big time. So yeah, there's a lot of things that people could ask questions about. We could go off for hours about all these topics, and it's very, you know, I talk with, over the years I've talked with hundreds of guys and gals in relationships that are having issues and not knowing what to do. And most of it is not doing so much. Most of it is knowing who you are, what you want, pulling back a little bit, not overdoing, you know, but doing the right amount and the right things at the right time. And how many people are taught that? That's exactly what it is in business, right? Yeah. You can go into a conference room and you can sell your product, and then you can talk them out of buying it in the same conversation. Yeah. Because they're sick of you.
Yep.
You know, so that's why we're ending this podcast right now.
Yeah. I thought of something else, but it's definitely, I got to get off to doing some other things too. So.
I always leave them wanting more.
Until next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.